Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe. Thank you so much. Jenny woke up early that Saturday morning. The sun was just beginning to rise over the city, painting the sky with orange and pink colors. She stretched her arms and yawned. Today was her best friend Maria's wedding day, and Jenny had been preparing for this day for 3 whole months. Jenny was extreme stressed. She sold clothes for people in the city. Her small shop was located on Becker Street, between Mr. Johnson's grocery store and Miss Chen's hair salon. Every day, people come to Jenny's shop with torn clothes, old dresses that needed new life, an amendment, or fabrics they wanted to turn into something beautiful. Jenny's hands were magic. She could take any pieces of clothes and turn it into something wonderful. Jenny lived alone in a small apartment above her shop. She was 32 years old and had never been married. Her mother often called her from the village, asking when Jenny would bring home a husband. Jenny would laugh and say, "Mama, when God sends the right man, I will know." Jenny was not like other girls who dreamed only of marriage. She dreamed of expanding her business, of opening more shops, of teaching other young women how to sew. But deep in her heart, she also helped and hoped that one day she would find a good man who would love her for who she was. That morning, Jenny took her bath and put on the dress she had sewn for Maria's wedding. It was a beautiful blue dress with golden threads around the edge. When she looked in the mirror, she smiled. The dress fits perfectly. She had spent many nights working on this particular dress, making sure every stitch was perfect. Jenny picked up the wrapped gift she had bought for Maria and her husband-to-be. Inside the silver paper was a handmade bedsheet set that Jenny had embroidered herself. She had sewn tiny flowers and birds on the white sheets, and it had taken her 2 weeks to complete. This was her gift of love to her dear friend. She made this herself and it was handmade. The wedding was taking place at the Grand Plaza Hotel on the other side of the town. Jenny did not own a car, so she took a taxi. As the taxi drove through the busy streets, Jenny looked out the window at the city. She saw people rushing to work, children playing in the streets, vendors selling their goods. This was her city. She loved it here, even though life was not always easy. When Jenny arrived at the Grand Plaza Hotel, her mouth opened in wonder. The hotel was huge and beautiful. There were tall pillars at the entrance and red carpets rolled down the steps. Men in uniforms opened the doors for guests. Jenny had never been to such a fancy place before. Inside the hotel, the wedding hall was decorated with white and gold flowers. There were round tables covered with white cloths, and each table had a tall centerpiece of roses. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, sparkling like diamonds. Soft music played from somewhere Jenny could not see. Jenny found her seat at the table 7. She placed Maria's gift on the table and sat down. Soon other guests began to arrive. The hall filled with people wearing their finest clothes. Women wore elegant dresses and high heels. Men wore suits and ties. Everyone was laughing and talking, waiting for the ceremony to begin. Maria looked like a princess in her white wedding dress. Jenny had helped her choose the dress 3 months ago when Maria walked down the aisle with her father. Tears filled Jenny's eyes. She was so happy for her friend. Maria's husband, Robert, was a good man who worked as a teacher. Jenny had met him several times and knew that he truly loved Maria. The ceremony was beautiful. The priest talked about love, patience, and commitment. Maria and Robert exchanged rings and said their vows. When the priest said, "You may kiss the bride," everyone clapped and cheered. Jenny clapped so hard her hands hurt. After the ceremony, it was time for the reception. Waiters in black and white uniforms moved between the tables, serving foods and drinks. The food was delicious. There was jollof rice, fried rice, chicken, beef, fish, salad, and many other dishes. Jenny ate slowly, enjoying every bite. At her table, Jenny sat with other friends of Maria. There was Patient, who worked at a bank. There was also Grace, who was a nurse, and also Samuel, who owned a phone repair shop. They all talked and laughed together, sharing stories and memories of Maria. Then the music started. A live band began to play, and people moved to the dance floor. The hall filled with music and dancing. Jenny loved to dance, so she joined the others on the dance floor. She danced to the fast songs and the slow songs. She danced until her feet were tired. Jenny was taking a break, standing by the side of the dance floor, when she noticed him. He was tall, very handsome. Very, very tall, maybe 6 feet or more. He wore a dark blue suit that looked expensive. His shoes were shining and black. His watch caught the light from the chandeliers and sparkled on his wrists. He had a neat haircut and a well-groomed beard. He was standing alone near the bar, holding a glass of wine, watching the dancers with a small smile on his face. Jenny looked away quickly. She did not want him to catch her staring, but something made her look back. When she did, he was looking directly at her. Their eyes met. He smiled. Jenny felt her heart beat faster. She smiled back, then looked away again, feeling shy. A few minutes later, Jenny felt someone standing beside her. She turned and saw him up close. He was even more handsome. His perfume smelled expensive, like those perfumes sold in fancy stores downtown. "Hello," he said. His voice was deep and smooth. "I am Bright. I noticed you dancing earlier. You are a very good dancer." Jenny felt her cheek grow warm. "Thank you," she said. "I am Jenny. I am a friend of the bride." "I am a friend of the groom," Bright said. "Robert and I went to university together. We studied business administration." They stood there talking as the music played around them. Bright asked Jenny what she did for a living. When she told him she was a seamstress, his eyes lit up. "A seamstress? That's wonderful," he said. "I have so much respect for people who work with their hands, who create things. That's real work. Not like what I do, sitting in the office all day, talking about numbers and markets." "What do you do?" Jenny asked. Bright waved his hands as if it was nothing important. "Oh, I work in the family business, import and export. My father started the company 30 years ago, and now my brothers and I help run it. We import goods from Asia and Europe and sell them here. It's boring work. Really, but it pays the bill." Jenny noticed how casually he said this, as if importing and exporting goods was a small thing. She also noticed his watch again. It looked very expensive, maybe even a Rolex. She had seen watches like that in magazines. "That sounds like important work," Jenny said. Bright shrugged. "Every work is important if it helps people. Your work, for example, you help people look good, feel confident. That's valuable." Jenny liked how he talked. He did not seem proud or boastful, even though he clearly had money. Some rich people Jenny had met before would talk down to her when they learned she was a seamstress. But Bright spoke to her like an equal, like her work mattered. They talked for a long time. Bright told her about his travels. He had been to Dubai, London, Paris, New York, and many other cities. He talked about different cultures he had experienced, the foods he had tasted, the people he had met. Jenny listened with wonder. She had never left the country. The farthest she had ever traveled was to her village, which was 5 hours away by bus. But Bright did not make her feel small because she had not traveled. Instead, he asked her questions about her life her work and her dreams. He seems genuinely interested in what she had to say. So Jenny the seamstress, Bright said with a smile, "What is your biggest dream?" Jenny thought for a moment. "I want to open a training center," she said. "A place where I can teach young girls how to sew, how to start their own businesses. Many girls in this city have no skills, no way to make money. If I can teach them to sew, they can support themselves. They won't have to depend on anyone." Bright nodded slowly. "That's a beautiful dream," he said, "and I believe you will achieve it. I can see that you are a woman who knows what she wants and works hard for it." Jenny felt her heart warm at his words. It was rare for someone to take her dream seriously. That evening, everything went on fine, and Bright stayed by Jenny's side. They danced together to the slow songs. When they danced, Bright held her gently, respectfully. He was a good dancer, moving smoothly to the music's rhythm. Jenny felt comfortable in his arms, as if they had known each other for years instead of just a few moments. When the wedding reception was ending, Bright asked for Jenny's phone number. Jenny hesitated for just a moment. She did not usually give her number to men she had just met. But there was something about Bright that felt safe and trustworthy. She gave him her number. "Can I drive you home?" Bright asked. Jenny looked outside. It was already dark. She had planned to take a taxi home, but the thought of riding in Bright's car was tempting. "Okay," she said. They said goodbye to Maria and Robert, congratulating them one more time. Then Bright led Jenny outside to the parking lot. He walked to a silver Mercedes-Benz and opened the door for her. Jenny had never been inside such an expensive car before. The seats were soft leathers and the car smelled nice and new. As Bright drove through the city streets, they continued talking. He asked her about her childhood in the village, about her family, about how she learned to sew. Jenny told him about her grandma, who had taught her to sew when she was just 7 years. She told him about how she had saved money for years to move to the city and open her shop. When they reached Jenny's shop, Bright looked up at the small building. "This is yours?" he asked. "Yes," Jenny said proudly. "I bought it 3 years ago. It's not much, but it's mine." "It's not perfect," Bright said. "You should be proud of yourself. It's perfect." Jenny, "Not everyone has the courage to chase their dreams like you have." Jenny smiled. She liked this man more and more. "Can I see you again?" Bright asked. "Maybe we could have dinner sometime." "I would like that," Jenny said. That night, as Jenny lay in her bed, she could not stop thinking about Bright. He was handsome, yes. He was rich, yes. But more than that, he was kind. He had treated her with respect. He had listened to her. He had not looked down on her because she was a seamstress. Maybe, Jenny thought, God had finally sent her the right man. 3 days later, Bright called Jenny. They talked on the phone for 2 hours. He asked about her day, about her customers, about her life. He told her funny stories about his work. He made her laugh. When they finally said good night, Jenny realized her cheek hurt from smiling so much. The next week, Bright took Jenny to a dinner at an expensive restaurant downtown. Jenny wore her best dress, one she had sewn herself from blue silk fabric. When Bright saw her, his eyes widened. "You look beautiful," he said. The restaurant was unlike any place Jenny had ever been. There were white tablecloths on every table, candles burning, soft classical music playing. Waiters moved silently between tables. The menu was in English and also French, with dishes Jenny had never heard of before. Bright helped her choose her meal. He ordered wine for them. When the food came, it was served on large white plates with the food arranged like art. Jenny had never seen food presented so beautifully. It tasted as good as it looked. During dinner, Bright told Jenny about a business deal he was working on. We are trying to import a new line of electronics from South Korea, he said. If the deal goes through, it could be very profitable, but these things take time. There is a lot of negotiation involved. Jenny listened, trying to understand the world of business that Bright lived in. It was so different from her world of needles, thread, and fabric. After dinner, Bright drove Jenny home again. Before she got out of the car, he took her hands. Jenny, he said, I really enjoyed spending time with you. You are different from other women I have met. You are real. You are not impressed by money or status. You care about things that matter. Jenny felt her heart flutter. I enjoy spending time with you too, she said. From that day on, Bright and Jenny began seeing each other regularly. Every few days, Bright would call and they would meet. Sometimes they went to restaurants, sometimes they went to the movies, sometimes they just sat in Bright's car and talked for hours. Bright was generous. He brought Jenny's gifts, flowers, chocolates, perfumes. Once he bought her an expensive bolt of Italian silk fabric. For your work, he said. Jenny was touched. Most men would bring jewelry or clothes, but Bright had thought about her business and her passion. Jenny's friend Patient was suspicious. Jenny, be careful, she warned one day. When they met for lunch, this man appears from nowhere, drives an expensive car, takes you to fancy. What do you really know about him? I know he is kind, Jenny said. I know he treats me well. I know he respects me. But what about his family? Patient asked. Have you never or ever met them? Have you seen his house? Have you seen where he lives and where he works? Jenny frowned. Patient was right. In the 3 months she had been seeing Bright, she has never met him, nor his family. Whenever she asked about them, Bright would say, soon, my love, soon. They live far from here, and I want everything to be perfect when you meet them. She had also never seen his house. Bright always picked her up and dropped her off, but he never invited her to his home. When she asked about it, he would say, I am renovating right now. It's a mess. I don't want you to see it until it's perfect. And she had never seen his office. Bright said his company's headquarters was in another city, and he mostly worked from home or traveled to meet clients. Jenny pushed these thoughts away. She did not want to be suspicious. Bright had done nothing to make her doubt him. He was attentive, caring, and loving at the same time. Wasn't that what mattered? One evening, Bright took Jenny to a jewelry store. Jenny's eyes widened when she realized where they were going. Bright, what are we doing here? She asked. Just come, he said, smiling mischievously. Inside the jewelry store, everything sparkled under the bright lights. There were glass cases filled with necklaces, bracelets, earrings, and rings. A well-dressed saleswoman approached them. Good evening, sir, madam, she said. How may I help you today? Bright pointed to a case of diamond rings. We'd like to see some engagement rings, he said. Jenny's heart stopped. Engagement rings? Was Bright going to propose? The saleswoman brought out a tray of beautiful rings. They were all gold and silvers with diamonds of different sizes. Bright picked up one ring with a large diamond that caught the light and threw rainbows across the wall. What do you think of this one, Jenny? He asked. Jenny could barely speak. It's beautiful, she whispered. We will take it, Bright told the saleswoman. Bright, wait, Jenny said. This is too much. This ring must cost a fortune. Bright laughed. Jenny, nothing is too much for you. Don't worry about the price. I want you to have the best. The saleswoman wrapped the ring carefully in a velvet box. Bright paid with a credit. Jenny did not see how much it cost, but she knew it must have been thousands of dollars. Outside the store, Bright got down on one knee. There on the sidewalk, people walking by stopped to watch Jenny's hands flew to her mouth. Jenny, Bright said, looking up at her with love in his eyes. These past 3 months have been the happiest of my life. You are everything I have been looking for. You are beautiful, hardworking, kind, and real. I don't want to spend another day without knowing that you will be my wife. Jenny, will you marry me? Tears filled Jenny's eyes. Around them, strangers were smiling, some recording the moment on their phones. The whole world seemed to be waiting for her answer. Yes, Jenny whispered. Then louder. Yes, yes, I will marry you. Bright stood up and slipped the ring on her finger. It fits perfectly. The diamond sparkled in the evening light. People around them clapped and cheered. Bright pulled Jenny into his arms and hugged her. That night, Jenny could not sleep. She kept looking at the ring on her finger. She was engaged. She was going to be married to a wonderful man who loved her, a man who was successful and kind and treated her like a queen. She called her mother in the village. Mama, I'm engaged, she said excitedly. Her mother screamed with joy. Finally, oh my daughter, tell me about him. What does he do? Where is he from? Jenny told her mother everything she knew about Bright. Her mother was impressed. He sounds like a good man, my daughter. When will I meet him? Soon, Mama, very soon. After hanging up with her mother, Jenny called Maria. Maria was just as excited. Oh, Jenny, I'm so happy for you. You deserve this. You deserve to be happy. The next few weeks were like a dream. Bright took Jenny shopping for wedding things. They looked at venues for the wedding. They talked about their future together. Bright said after they were married, Jenny could expand her business. He would help her open the training center she had dreamed about. But little things began to bother Jenny. Small things she tried to ignore. One day, they went to another expensive restaurant. When the bill came, Bright's credit card was declined. He laughed it off. Bank security nonsense, he said. They are so careful these days. They block legitimate transactions. He used another card, and that one worked. Another time, Jenny asked about meeting his family. Bright became irritated. Why do you keep asking about this? I told you we will meet them when the time is right. Don't you trust me? Jenny felt bad for asking. Of course I trust you, she said. I am sorry. But doubt had planted a seed in her mind. One evening, Jenny was at Bright's car waiting for him. He had gone into a store to buy something. His phone, which he had left in the car, rang. Jenny looked at the screen. The name Sandra appeared with a heart emoji next to it. Jenny's stomach twisted. Who was Sandra? Why did she have a heart emoji next to her name? When Bright returned, Jenny said nothing, but that night she could not sleep. Questions filled her mind. Who was Sandra? Did Bright have another woman? Was he cheating on her? The next morning, Jenny's brother David came to visit her shop. David was 2 years younger than Jenny, but he was protective of his big sister. He worked as a security guard at a bank. Jenny, David said, I need to talk to you about this man you are planning to marry. Jenny's heart sank. What about him? I am concerned, David said. You have known him for only 4 months. You are planning to marry him. But what do you really know about him? Have you met his family? Have you seen where he lives? Where he works? David, not you too, Jenny said. Patience already said all this. Why can't anyone just be happy for me? We are happy for you, David said. But we also want you to be safe. Jenny, let me investigate him, just to be sure. I have a friend who can do background checks. If Bright is really who he says he is, then it is great. We all will be at peace. But if he's hiding something, wouldn't you want to know before you marry him? Jenny wanted to say no. She wanted to defend Bright. But she thought about the declined credit card, the mysterious Sandra, the family she had never met, the house she had never seen. Okay, she finally said, but please be discreet. I don't want Bright to know. David nodded. Don't worry, sister. I will be very careful. That night, Jenny looked at her engagement ring. It was beautiful, sparkling in the light. But now, when she looked at it, she felt a knot of worry in her stomach. Was she making a mistake? Was Bright really who he said he was? But only time would tell. 2 weeks passed after Jenny agreed to let her brother David investigate Bright. During those 2 weeks, Jenny tried to act normal around Bright. She smiled when he took her to expensive places. She laughed at his jokes. She kissed him goodnight when he dropped her off, but inside her heart was troubled. Every time Bright's phone rang, he stepped away to answer it. Jenny wondered who was calling. Every time he made excuses about why she couldn't meet his family, doubts grew in her mind, like a weed in the garden. Every time his credit card had problems, she remembered what patient had said. What do you really know about him? Jenny threw herself into her work. To distract herself, she had 3 wedding dresses to complete, the 5 bridesmaids dresses and 10 regular dresses for various customers. Her fingers moved quickly over the fabrics, her sewing machine humming late into the night. Work had always been her comfort, her escape. When she was sewing, she didn't have to think about anything else. One evening, Jenny was working on her white wedding dress for a customer named Blessing. The dress was beautiful with lace sleeves and tiny pearls sewn into the bodice. As Jenny carefully attached each purse, she thought about her own wedding. She and Bride had not set a date yet, but they had talked about having the wedding in 6 months. 6 months? Would she really be married to Bride in 6 months? Would she walk down the aisle in a dress like this one? Would Bride be standing at the altar waiting for her with eyes closed or open and love filled in his eyes? Or would David's investigation reveal something terrible? Would she discover that the man she loved was not who he claimed to be? Jenny's phone rang, interrupting her thoughts. It was Bright. "Hello, my love," he said, with a smooth voice. "How is your day going?" "It's going well," Jenny said, trying to sound cheerful. "I'm working on a beautiful wedding dress." "I am sure it is," Bright said. "Everything you create is beautiful. Listen, I have some good news. Remember about that business deal I told you about? The electronics from Korea? It went through. We signed the contract today. This is going to be very profitable for the company." "That's wonderful, Bright," Jenny said. And she meant it. She wanted good things for him. She wanted him to succeed, to celebrate. "I want to take you somewhere special this weekend," Bright continued. "There's a resort outside the city by the lakeside. Very beautiful, very peaceful. We can spend the whole day there. What do you say?" Jenny hesitated. A whole day at a resort? That sounds romantic. But it also sounded expensive. And lately she had been noticing how much money Bright spent on her. The fancy dinners, the gifts, the trips. Where was all this money coming from? "Jenny, are you there?" Bright asked. "Yes, I am," Jenny said. "The result sounded lovely, but Bright, you don't have to spend so much money on me. We could just have a simple date, maybe a walk in the park, or we could cook dinner together at my place." Bright laughed. "Jenny, my sweet Jenny, you're so humble, so simple. That's one of the things I love about you. But please, let me spoil you. I have the money. I want to use it to make you happy. Is that so wrong?" When he put it that way, Jenny felt guilty for questioning him. "No, it's not wrong," she said softly. "Thank you, Bright. I would love to go to the resort with you." That is so perfect," Bright said. "I will pick you up on Saturday morning at 9. Wear something comfortable and bring a swimsuit if you want to use the pool." After they hung up, Jenny sat staring at her phone. Bright was so good to her, so loving, so generous. Why was she doubting him? Maybe Patience and David were wrong. Maybe Bright was exactly who he said he was, a successful businessman from a wealthy family who had fallen in love with a simple seamstress. But then Jenny remembered the phone, the call from Sandra, with heart emoji. She had never asked Bright about it. She was afraid of what he might say, or worse, afraid that he might get angry that she looked at his phone. Jenny shook her head and went back to the sewing. She needed to stop thinking so much. David would finish his investigation soon, and then she would know the truth. Until then, she would try to trust the man she had agreed to marry. The next day, David came to Jenny's shop. It was a Thursday afternoon, and the shop was quiet. Jenny's assistant, a girl named Chioma, had gone to the market to buy more threads and buttons. Jenny was alone when David walked in. Jenny knew immediately from David's face that he had news. Her brother looked serious, worried. He closed the shop door behind him and locked it. "Jenny, we need to talk," David said. Jenny's hand began to shake. She put down the dress she was working on. "What did you find?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. David sat down heavily in a customer's chair. He pulled out a brown envelope from his bag and placed it on the table between them. "Jenny, I don't know how to tell you this," David began. "My friend Samuel, the one who does investigations," he looked into Bright's background. "Jenny, there are problems, big problems." "What kind of problems?" Jenny asked. Her heart was pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. David opened the envelopes and placed out several papers. "First, this business he says he runs with his family. Samuel couldn't find any record of it. No company registered under the name Bright gave you. No import-export business owned by his family." Jenny stared at the paper. They were official documents from the company registration office. Her hands trembled as she took them. "Maybe the company is registered under a different name," she suggested weakly. "Samuel checked that too," David said. "He searched for any company owned by Bright's family. Nothing, Jenny. The business doesn't exist." Jenny felt like she couldn't breathe. "What else?" she asked. David pulled out more papers. "The address Bright gave you as his family home. Samuel went there. It's an empty plot of land. No house, nothing." Tears began to form in Jenny's eyes. "No," she whispered. "No, that can't be right. Maybe he gave me the wrong address." "Jenny, listen," David said gently. He reached across and took his sister's hand. "There is more. Samuel found out that Bright has debts, a lot of debts. He owes money to several banks. He owes money to private lenders. He owes money to individuals. He has been borrowing money from different people and not paying them back." "How much?" Jenny asked. Though she wasn't sure she wanted to know. David looked at the papers. From what Samuel could find, at least 5 million naira, maybe more. 5 million naira? Jenny felt dizzy. That was more money than she could have had in her entire life. How could Bright hold so much money? "What about his family?" Jenny asked. "His parents, his brothers." David shook his head. Samuel tracked down Bright's real family. They live in a small town 3 hours from here. His father is a retired school teacher. His mother sells vegetable in the market. He has 2 brothers. One is a mechanic, the other is a taxi driver. They are good people, Jenny, but they are not wealthy. Jenny put her hands on her face. Everything Bright had told her was a lie. Everything. The family business, the wealth, the import and export, all lies. "How?" Jenny asked, looking at David with tears streaming down her eyes. "How has he been paying for everything? The expensive restaurants, the gifts, the car?" "The car is rented," David said. "He rents it by the week from a luxury car rental company. As for the restaurants and gifts, Samuel found out he's been using credit cards. But Jenny, he's not paying the credit card bills. He just keeps getting new cards and maxing them out. It's called credit card fraud." Jenny felt sick to her stomach. The man she loved, the man she had agreed to marry, was a criminal, a liar, a fraud. "What about the engagement ring?" Jenny asked, looking down at the diamond on her fingers. "Is this real?" David looked uncomfortable. Samuel think it might be, but Jenny, Bright probably bought it with borrowed money that he never intends to pay back, or worse, with a stolen credit card. Jenny pulled the ring off her fingers immediately and stared at it. This beautiful ring that had symbolized Bright's love for her. Now, it just represented his lies. She put it on the table, unable to look at it anymore. There is something else, David said quietly. Samuel found out that you are not the first woman Bright has done this to. Jenny's head snapped up. What? 3 years ago, Bright was engaged to another woman. Her name was Sandra. Sandra, the name from the phone call. He told her the same story, David continued. The family business, the wealth, the travels. He even proposed to her. But 2 weeks before the wedding, she found out the truth. She called off the wedding. Bright disappeared for a while after that. Then he came back and started over with a new identity and a new story. Is he still in contact with Sandra? Jenny asked. David nodded. Someone thinks so. He might be running the same scheme on multiple women at the same time. Jenny stood up suddenly. Her chair fell backward with a crash. She walked to the window and looked out at the street. People were walking by, going about their normal lives. They had no idea that Jenny's whole world was falling apart. Why? Jenny asked, her voice breaking. Why would he do this? What does he want from me? I don't have money. I don't have anything he could steal. Samuel has a theory, David said. He thinks Bright gets money from the women he dates. Small amount at the first, maybe borrowing money for emergencies or business opportunities. Then as the relationship gets more serious, larger amounts. By the time the women realize what's happening, Bright has disappeared with thousands, sometimes millions of naira. Jenny thought back over the past 4 months. Had Bright ever asked her for money? She tried to remember. There was that one time about a month ago when Bright had mentioned that he was waiting for a big payment for a client and his accounts were temporarily low. He asked Jenny if she could lend him 50,000 naira just for a few days until the payment came through. Jenny had given him the money without hesitation. That was her savings for 2 months of hard work. Bright had promised to pay her back within a week, but a week had passed, then 2 weeks, then 3. When Jenny finally mentioned it, Bright had been apologetic. I am so sorry, my love. The client is delaying payment. But don't worry, as soon as I get paid, I will give you back double what you lent me. Jenny had told him she didn't need double, just her original 50,000 naira. But Bright had insisted. You are going to be my wife, he said. He had said then, what's mine is yours. When I have money, you have money. The 50,000 naira had never been returned. Jenny had pushed it out of her mind, thinking it was a small thing. After all, they were going to be married. Married couples share money. What was 50,000 naira between husband and wife? But now, Jenny realized she wasn't going to be Bright's wife. She was just another victim in its long line of scams. Jenny, there's one more thing you should know, David said. His voice was gentle, as if he was trying to break bad news to a child. Samuel found out that Bright is wanted by the police. 3 different women have filed complaints against him for fraud. There's a warrant for his arrest. Jenny turned from the window to face her brother. The police are looking for him? David nodded. But he keeps changing his name, his appearance, his story. He is very good at disappearing and starting over. The police have been trying to catch him for 2 years. Jenny walked back to the table and sat down. She felt numb, as if all the feelings had drained out of her body. She had been so stupid, so blind. All the signs had been there. The declined credit cards, the mysterious phone calls, the family she had never met, the house she never saw. But she had ignored all of it because she wanted to believe. She wanted to believe that a handsome man, successful man, could fall in love with a simple seamstress. She wanted to believe in the fairy tale What should I do? Jenny asked David. You need to confront him, David said. You need to end this relationship before he takes more money from you or does something worse. And Jenny, you should consider going to the police. What Bright is doing is illegal. He needs to face the consequences. Jenny looked at the engagement ring sitting on the table. Such a beautiful lie. I'll confront him, Jenny said, but I need to do it on my own way. In my own time, I need to understand why he did this to me. David looked worried. Jenny, be careful. Men like Bright can be dangerous when they are cornered. Don't meet him alone. Let me come with you. No, Jenny said firmly. This is something I need to do myself. But don't worry, I'll be smart about it. I will meet him in a public place. After David left, Jenny sat in her shop for a very long time, staring at nothing. The white wedding dress she had been working on hung on the mannequin, mocking her with its purity and hope. Jenny had sewn hundreds of wedding dresses in her career. She had helped hundreds of women prepare for their wedding day, their happy day. But now, her own dream of marriage had turned to ashes. Jenny's phone buzzed. It was a message from Bright. Can't wait for Saturday, my love. I have been thinking about you all day. You make me so happy. I love you. Jenny stared at the message. Did Bright really love her? Or was that a lie? Had everything been an act? A performance designed to separate her from her money? Jenny didn't reply to the message. She turned off her phone and went back to work. She needed to finish Blessing's wedding dress. At least one bride would have a happy ending, even if Jenny's own fairy tale had turned into a nightmare. That night, Jenny couldn't sleep. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything David had told her. Part of her still didn't want to believe it. Part of her wanted to call Bright right now and give him a chance to explain. Maybe there was a reasonable explanation for everything. Maybe David's friend had made a mistake. But deep down, Jenny knew the truth. Everything made sense now. The declined credit card, the mysterious Sandra, the family she had never met, the house she had never saw. All pieces fit together like a puzzle revealing an ugly picture. Jenny thought about the 50,000 naira she had lent Bright. That money was gone. She would never see it again. But what hurt more than the money was the betrayer. She had trusted Bright with her heart. She had believed his words, his promise, his love, and it had all been a lie. Around 3 in the morning, Jenny finally fell into a troubled sleep. She dreamed of Bright. In the dream, he was wearing a mask. When Jenny tried to pull off the mask to see his real face, there was another mask underneath, and another mask under that one. She kept pulling off masks, one after the other, but could never reach the true face. Jenny woke up in a cold sweat. The sun was just beginning to rise. She got out of bed and made herself a cup of coffee. As she sat by the window watching the city wake up, she made a decision. She would go to the resort with Bright on Saturday as planned, but this time she would not be the naive woman who believed everything he said. This time she would watch him carefully. She would ask questions. She would look for cracks in his performance. And then she would confront him with the truth. Friday passed slowly. Jenny went through the motions of the day. Serving customers, taking measurements, cutting fabrics, sewing. But her mind was elsewhere. She was preparing herself for tomorrow, for the confrontation that was coming. Bright called her twice on Friday. Both times Jenny answered and spoke to him normally, pretending that nothing was wrong. She laughed at his joke. She told him she was excited about the resort. She played her part in his game, just as he had been playing his part in hers. But inside, Jenny was gathering her courage. She was preparing herself to face the man she loved and tell him that she knew the truth. Friday evening, Maria called. Jenny, how are you? I have been so busy since the wedding. I haven't had time to call. How are the wedding plans going? Jenny almost told Maria everything right then, but she stopped herself. She didn't want to burden her friends with her problems. Maria was newly married and happy. Jenny didn't want to pour her misery into Maria's joy. Everything is fine, Jenny lied. Bright and I are going to a resort tomorrow. Oh, how romantic, Maria said. You are so lucky. Jenny, Bright is an exceptional, wonderful man. Bright and I and Robert, we are just talking about how perfect you two are together. Perfect, Jenny almost laughed at the word. Nothing about her relationship with Bright was perfect. It was all built on lies. After she hung up with Maria, Jenny went to the closet and picked out an outfit for tomorrow. She chose a simple yellow dress, comfortable sandal, and a light jacket. She would bring a small bag with her essentials, her phone, and some money, and her identification card. She also put David's brown envelope in her bag. The envelope contained all the evidence of Bright's lie. If she needed proof, if Bright tried to deny everything, she would have the document to show him. That night, Jenny prayed. She wasn't very religious, but tonight she needed to talk to God. God, she whispered in the darkness of her room. I don't know why this is happening to me. I don't know why you let me fall in love with a liar, but please give me the strength tomorrow. Give me the courage to face the truth. Help me to be strong when my heart wants to be weak, and please protect me. Don't let Bright hurt me more than he already has. After praying, Jenny felt a little better. Not much, but a little. She closed her eyes, eventually falling asleep. Saturday morning arrived bright and sunny. It was a beautiful day, and kind of day that made people happy. But Jenny felt no happiness as she got dressed and prepared for her date with Bright. At exactly 9 o'clock, she heard a car horn outside. Jenny looked out the window and saw the silver Mercedes-Benz parked in front of her shop. Bright was standing beside it looking handsome, in casual clothes, khaki pants, and a white linen shirt. He was smiling, waving up at her. Jenny took a deep breath. She picked up her bag, checked the brown envelope was inside, and went downstairs. Good morning, my beautiful queen, Bright said, pulling her into a tight hug. He smelled good, like expensive perfume. You look lovely today. Yellow is your favorite color. Thank you, Jenny said. Her voice sounded normal, even though her heart was pounding. Bright opened the car door for her, and Jenny got in. As they drove out of the city towards the resort, Bright talked about the weather, about how relaxing the day would be, about the beautiful lake they would see. Jenny listened and nodded, but her mind was working. She was watching Bright carefully, seeing things she had never noticed before. The way he smiled quietly reached his face and his eyes. The way he kept checking his phone. The way he changed the subject whenever she asked about his family or his work. How had she missed all the signs before? After an hour of driving, they arrived at the resort. It was indeed beautiful. The resort sat on the edge of a large lake, surrounded by trees and gardens. There were small cottages scattered around the property, a main building with a restaurant, and a swimming pool that had sparkled in the sunlight. Welcome to Paradise Lake Resort, Bright said, spreading his arms wide. What do you think? It's beautiful, Jenny admitted. They checked in at the main decks. Jenny noticed that Bright paid with a credit card, and this time it worked. They were given a key to one of the cottages where they would change into swimsuits if they wanted to use the pool. But Jenny had no intention of swimming. She had come here for one purpose only, to confront Bright with the truth. Bright, Jenny said, as they walked towards their cottage, can we talk? There's something important I need to discuss with you. Bright looked at her with concern. Of course, my love. Is everything all right? You seem quiet today. They reached the cottage and went inside. It was a charming little place with a bedroom, a small sitting area, and a bathroom. Through the window, They could see the lake sparkling in a distance. Jenny sat on the sofa, her hands were shaking. As them beside her, together in her lap. Bright sat beside her, taking one of her hands. Jenny, you are trembling, he said. What's wrong? Talk to me. Jenny looked into his eyes. They were brown and warm. They looked at her with such apparent concern. Was it all fake? Had everything about him been a performance? Bright, Jenny asked. Her voice steady despite her shaking hands. I need you to be honest with me. I need you to tell me the truth. The truth about what? Bright asked, but Jenny saw something flicker in his eyes. Fear? Caution? Jenny reached into her bag and pulled out the brown envelope. She placed it on the coffee table between them. The truth about who you really are, Jenny said. The truth about your family, your business, your money. The truth about everything you've told me since the day we met. Bright stared at the envelope, his face gone pale. For a long moment, he said nothing. The only sound in the cottage was the ticking of a clock on the wall and the distant call of birds outside. Then Bright stood up. He walked to the window and looked out at the lake. His back was to Jenny, so she couldn't see his face. How much do you know? He asked quietly. Jenny's heart sank. She had hope even now that there might be some mistake or some explanation. But Bright's question confirmed everything. He wasn't even going to try to deny it. I know everything, Jenny said. I know there's no family business. I know you have debts you can't pay. I know you've done this before to other women. I know the police are looking for you. I know that everything you've told me had been a lie. Bright was silent for a long moment. Then slowly he turned to face her. And what Jenny saw on his eyes and his face shocked her. He was crying. Tears were streaming down Bright's cheek. His handsome face was twisted in pain and shame. He looked like a man who had been carrying a heavy burden for too long and had finally put it down. Jenny, he said, his voice breaking. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. And then, to Jenny's surprise, Bright collapsed onto the floor. He buried his face in his hands and sobbed like a child. Jenny sat frozen on the sofa, watching the man she loved fall apart before her eyes. Part of her wanted to go to him to comfort him. But another part of her, the part that had been hurt and betrayed, stayed where she was. After what felt like forever, Bright's sobs quieted. He wiped his face with his hands and looked up at Jenny. His eyes were red and swollen. You are right, he said. Everything you said is truth. I lied to you. I lied about everything. And I am so sorry. Stay tuned for part 2. Please subscribe if you've not. Thank you.